Okay. What's up, everybody? We're out here in San Jose trying to get to a place. The speaker's coming up soon. We're at City Hall. I'm walking on these wavy steps. Do-do-do. So while we are waiting for this event is gonna start pretty soon. So you guys do me a huge favor and go ahead and share, like, comment.
Alright guys, let's bring it up over here, and then actually you got to start lighting the candle.
This way. Thanks, baby.
Oh, sorry. We're supposed to be coming around with a lighter.
I think.
Do you have a lighter?
Let's see. I'm gonna have to get a little angle on this camera. We're gonna go. Why didn't I bring my glasses? Y'all, don't let me. All right. We have a lighter. We're gonna see how this works out. Hey guys, thanks for being here today. So I'm going to start with a few words, and then we're just going to have a few speakers come up here. Again, if you guys down there could come up here, that would be awesome. Come up here. Come up here.
It's okay because the candle keeps going now. We'll have a moment where we all have it lit. But anyways, I want to applaud you guys for being here today. You decided to be the voice for someone. You did something for someone today by just showing up here in this moment. This moment that we dedicate to the lives lost at the hands of human trafficking. The lives currently being trafficked, and to bring awareness to such a hidden agenda that impacts the immigrant community at the most vulnerable. It's 2020. The world has been so clear this year. It's 2020 vision. We are seeing things clearly for what they really are.
Mine did too.
And with the pandemic restrictions, people have no choice but to pay attention now. We gotta make it hard for them to look away. We gotta keep pressing the issue on immigrant rights and human trafficking and how they have come hand in hand. World Day Against Trafficking started by people advocating to end human trafficking and children sex trafficking. But they never seemed to mention the immigrant lives, or better yet, the immigrant children's lives. So that's what I'm here to do today. For those who aren't familiar with human trafficking, it is an act where people are trafficked for sexual exploitation, forced labor, forced begging, forced marriage, for selling children and as child soldiers, as well as for removal of organs. And when people and children come into America without documentations of their existence, they become vulnerable to human trafficking because they aren't traceable, no social security number, nothing. We gotta raise our voices for the unheard, especially here in California. You know, California has the most reported cases of human trafficking in the U.S. California is also the state of the most reported traffickers in the U.S. and the most reported phone calls about human trafficking in the U.S. Human trafficking, yeah, it's true. Human trafficking is a criminal activity that violates federal law and the laws of most states. Also known as trafficking in persons, human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery in which traffickers often lure individuals with false promises of employment and a better life. Under federal law, there are two categories of severe forms of trafficking: sex trafficking and labor trafficking. While sex trafficking is the most recognizable form of human trafficking, labor trafficking is another form of exploitation that affects the most silenced, the immigrant community. Immigrants are promised fake dreams by smugglers who bring them to America, where they are met with a trafficker. However, when the victim arrives, the trafficker imposes a large debt and forces them to work in order to pay off the debt, at which point they become human trafficking victims. In other cases, immigrants will come to the United States not knowing the language or how to get an education or job, and human traffickers exploit that lack of knowledge and opportunity. These immigrants become real victims of human trafficking and become exploited for their forced labor under brutal and inhumane conditions, and often threatened for punishment and deportation. These types of laborers come in manufacturing, factory work, hospitality, construction, agriculture, and fishing. Agriculture as in the field workers. A lot of these field workers are not protected today. Yeah, and then so human trafficking doesn't just happen, you know, in the underground industries. It doesn't just happen with the cartel. It doesn't just happen with, you know, everything under road. It's happening right here in our hotels. It's happening right here in our sweatshops. It's happening right here in the field. It's happening in ICE, for sure, and I'm gonna get to that. Yeah, for sure. Human trafficking is an immigration issue, and it's not said enough or ever. It's up to us to do what we can, where we are for these victims. Because conversations about immigrants don't usually speak about stuff like this. There's actually little attention paid to the link between immigrants and human trafficking. And that's unfortunate because it is an urgent problem across the United States, especially in California. People come to the United States for so many reasons, just to seek safety, just to support their families, and they contribute so greatly to our economy and for the stability of the United States. These people are the reason you have fruit and vegetables. And they're not even getting paid close to enough of what we pay for those blueberries. Period.
Two buckets for $7. Two buckets for $7.
These are the people cleaning your plates at the restaurant. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, these are the people picking up after you guys. Yes, all that. Yeah, and they come here without a community, without language skills or knowledge or social or legal systems. They become the most vulnerable for human trafficking. And to be specific, 80% of human trafficking is for immigrant women and immigrant children.
Yes.
And that's 80%. And they don't tell you that at, for example, like I said, today is supposed to be World Day Against Human Trafficking. And if you look up that hashtag, you're gonna see all white people. I mean, we get it, we save the kids, of course, but how is 80% of human trafficking victims immigrants, and it's not being, it's not in the narrative. But like, that's what we're here to learn here today. I'm just here to spread some knowledge.
Because we were born into human trafficking.
What was that?
We were born into human trafficking.
Yeah, some people were born into human trafficking too. And it's actually modern day slavery.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
these people work for people.
It's part of our culture.
Yeah,
to be trafficked.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just here to educate you guys. You guys can spread this knowledge to your friends and family. Just bring awareness, be their voice. Because honestly, all these statistics I have in my hand are only 0.04% of the actual human trafficking that's going on. 0.04, not even 1%.
There's more than enough speaking volume.
Yeah. Oh, and also the most vulnerable are immigrant trans women. Trans lives matter. Trans lives matter.
Thank you.
Trans lives matter. Trans lives matter.
Trans lives matter.
Trans lives matter.
Trans lives matter.
Yes, thank you guys. We have a speaker coming up, and I'll come up here to talk a little bit more about the ICE and the children. But I do have a speaker coming up here by the name of Kenya.
Kenya!
Kenya. Speak it. Tell us. Preach.
So hi, my name is Kenya Burton. I kind of want to take the mask off, but I think y'all can hear me. My name is Kenya Burton. I'm from Salinas, California. I'm a poet. I'm a poet and activist in Monterey County. I've probably seen most of y'all at these protests, so thank you for being here and being a part of the movement and making sure that we have our voice and that no one else takes it from us. Because for too long, minorities have been used to create the American dream. We have been used so that other people can have it. But it's time that we take our dream.
Yes!
Okay? So, I'm going to start us off with a poem I wrote. It's called Sisters of Trauma. We are sisters of trauma. We whisper into the darkest corners of the night, crying out for the souls of our stolen sisters, the secrets we scratched into walls as we gritted our teeth and forced screams from words. We know barren corners, how many inches of bed is from the floorboard, how easily a street can swallow a soul, how deep they will have to bury us to forget. I'm taking my mask off, I can't stand it. They convince themselves, they make excuses, they wrap the noose tighter around our throats, telling each other that our stereotypes mean consent. Our bodies waiting to be claimed. We know the reason why lullabies and cries rhyme. Sweet sister, they will make serenades out of you and sing them to other women. Now we are the bell toll to warn the village that the bad men are coming. We know the taste of gunpowder, how it feels to spit out ammunition for a war we did not start. When the collateral damage became our sisters, where our bodies became the spoils of a victory, of spoils of a war. What is a pawn left to do when there is no one there to guide it? They ask. We ask into the shadow void, the emptiness before the sand drips into unmeasured time, when we lose track of how many they have taken, how many graves left empty and missing person signs left up. We are the game left unfinished in an abandoned house, a memory, a nudge to the cranium, a guess on a late night that keeps you awake, the persistent cry that makes a country stare up at the ceiling, wondering if they left something behind. So now after that, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So now with some facts. And some stats, because that rhymes. Human trafficking earns global profits of roughly $150 billion a year for traffickers. $99 billion of which comes from the commercial sexual exploitation. Globally, an estimated 71% of enslaved people are women and children, while men and boys create 29%. Sadly, estimates suggest that internationally, only about, now let's listen to this, 0.04% of survivors of human sex trafficking cases are identified, meaning the vast majority of cases for human sex trafficking go undetected. Two more. Estimates suggest that 50,000 people are trafficked into the U.S. each year, most often from Mexico and the Philippines. The average age of a teen entering the sex trade in the U.S. is 12 to 14 years old. If you have any younger siblings, cousins, nephews, nieces, please raise your hand if they're around that age.
I have a son 6 years old now.
Every single one of us has loved ones that can be targeted. We ourselves are the targets as well. As a Black and Latina woman in the United States, I'm terrified every day that I live in this country, especially with the opposition we already face. We are likely to find that as a result of systemic inequality born from discrimination, minorities have an increased risk of being trafficked. At least as if we didn't have it hard enough, right? I know most girls here at night, getting off of work or going to school, have their keys in their knuckles, have pepper spray. You've gone online on Amazon or an online website, looked at how much it would be to protect yourselves, let's be honest. We see the ads, the pink pepper spray, right? This isn't something this isn't new. And we also love YouTube teaching us self-defense, TikTok with the white ladies that teach us how to protect ourselves. Come on, we love them. Yes, it has become normalized, even a part of girl code. We are exploited in many different areas of life. A UCLA law review states, hypersexualized stereotypes about minority teens continues to drive their prostitution and sexual exploitation. Lawmakers presume that minors have consented to prostitution even when they are a minor. Even when you cannot consent. But because you're a person of color, their law suggests that you don't need to give consent. That is why we are seeing things that happen, and I know you all saw it, where the 16-year-old girl that was trafficked, and she's getting charged with her trafficker's crimes. Crystal, let's talk about it. Girls, Crystal, come on, Crystal, let's go. Girls, especially those who are Black or people of color, have been silenced for generations. We are made to be appreciative or complacent, even when it means sacrificing our own comfortability. Because we don't want to be the dramatic one, or the angry Black woman, or the little girl that makes it more than it is, right? Throughout history, we have seen Black and brown women being left behind. And we have become an afterthought and been left on the back burner of history. Build the stairs for the country, but never take the stairs for yourself, right? My little sister is 13. So when I say that these facts terrify me, I hope that you know it's the truth.
It's the truth!
What people do not seem to understand, while also taking this threat seriously, is that it can be any one of us. One of us could be walking after this march and get snatched, and that's why I want to see you all walking in pairs, because let's be honest. No matter where you live or who you are, you can be taken and sold into human trafficking. I am tired of sugarcoating the truth. This shouldn't be easy to swallow, and neither should kids in cages, right? Y'all easily live your lives not knowing these kids are in freaking cages, right? Human trafficking is an immigration issue. Immigrant women are the most trafficked group in the United States. They are targets because they have no records, and they cannot be tracked and easily swept up when they're traveling. People aren't upset enough about it because it's making people in power money. Let's be honest. These people are making money from our suffering.
Hell yes.
Minorities, we have never been protected in this country. We built this country. Our bones of our ancestors are in the dirt of this country. Many people come to this country with wishes and pursuits for a better life, and all they are met with is hostility and violence. I am told that I am lucky to have been born here, but I have never felt safe here. I cannot even imagine how it is for my family members who weren't even born here. Let's take a second to imagine a girl around my age. I'm 20. So this person could be getting ready for college, anyone younger could be getting ready for middle school or elementary, still relying on their parents to comb their hair and remind them to brush their teeth. the little things of childhood we take for granted. Now imagine this elementary school student is being trafficked or kept in a cage. They are terrified, surviving in horrible conditions, being abused and neglected. Imagine wanting to go home but not even remembering where your home is. What your parents even look like. Imagine that, if you can't even remember your parents' face the last time your mom kissed your cheek. On top of this, let's not even talk about the fact that they don't speak our language. They don't understand this culture. So they're brought to a country by their parents for a dream that they never get because they're stuck at the freaking border. We should be angry. I'm an angry black woman. I'm an angry Latina. I'm supposed to be. Because I see my people getting hanged and I see my people in cages. And if you're not mad, you're a part of the problem. So I have a question for the people in charge. Where are our kids? 3,000 or more, probably more, that we do not know about. Go missing from an ICE detention centers. Children who are brought here by their parents and separated. By February 2018, thousands of immigrant children said that they were sexually abused in the U.S. detention centers, which led to the ICE detention centers saying that they didn't have any control over what happened in the detention centers and that it wasn't their fault. We have heard this before. We're not surprised because we've seen the corporation that says they're not in charge of their employees sexualizing a co-worker. We've seen it when the good kid at the good college makes a mistake one time, but they're a good person. We shouldn't ruin their life for one mistake, right? Baby, let's go. The perpetrators get left off of either no change or charges or no probation. This is not just a mistake. For the survivors, for those children who are kept in these cycles of sexual abuse, this is all they will remember. They act as if their crimes are just an illness we have to deal with. People don't seem to understand that these kids are losing their childhoods. They are losing recess time, telling their mothers what they learned after school, ice cream on a hot day, running around with their siblings, making friends, telling their parents they love them, doing homework, picking out new clothes for school, and seeing their families every day. Today we stand for these women and children in slavery. We will be the voice for the voiceless. When they can't speak, we will scream. We won't brush their lives away because they matter. This is so much bigger than one person, and this is why we need each other. For big problems, we need big minds, we need unity. Without it, we will lose much more than we have already lost. While we are over here fighting each other, arguing over whose lives matter and who deserves to be in this rotten country, predators are taking more women and children. More of us are being slaughtered as we play this oppression Olympics. If we are so busy fighting each other, the enemy wins. It is a tactic they have used for centuries. If minorities fight each other, they never fight to become the majorities. This is no longer about I, it is about us. We have to stand and fight for one another in this battle, because if they don't, they will break us up. We see it in Portland. We're seeing it everywhere across the country. Instead of fighting each other for scraps from the table, we need to fight for a seat at the table. Let's create policy and legislation that will stop this from continuing. Let's get our people in office so that our needs are at heart and not their pockets. I'm telling my brothers and sisters, because you guys are my family, if you're standing here with me today. If you stand by me, we will change the world. We will stop these powers from controlling us and the next generation after us. We will no longer be sheep led to the slaughter. The government has showed us what side they are on. History will prove them wrong. It's time we show them who's really in charge, because we built this country and we'll take it back. Yes. So, I'm sorry, all the tears. To quote the Mockingjay, to end. To quote the Mockingjay, to Donald Trump and every old white man in office, to every cop and ICE agent, to every person who was against us and might tear us down, if we burn, you burn with us.
Hit the share button, y'all.
Ready? Can we get a channel going real quick? Free the children!
Free the children!
Free the children!
Free the children!
Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all!
Free them all!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
What do we want?
Justice!
And when do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. For sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kenya. I think this is a good time to talk about the kids in cages. And actually, I wanted to bring this up. Oh, actually, shout out to the guy that was putting the projections. He moved it to that wall over there so all the traffic could see it. But I also had someone else that was supposed to come and, like, you know, do videos. But he told me that he was afraid that there was going to be counter-protesters and that his equipment, you know, whatever. But it's okay. It's the same stuff that it was just the news. It was just going to be the news videos.
Us being in San Jose, we can overtake them. Like,
Yeah. I mean, and I told him to do it for the children, but, you know, you guys are brave. You know, coming out here, you even just protesting, using your voice. You know, I'm an immigrant myself. I'm actually under protection from deportation because of DACA. I don't know if you guys have heard about DACA, but our president is trying to get rid of it like every day. We thought we had it back. We thought that specific fight was, you know, handled. But as of, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, Trump said that it's been limited from 2 years to 1 year, and that there's been no new applications.
Yeah, no new applications.
No new applications. Do you guys know what that means?
bullshit.
So remember the fact that I mentioned that, you know, immigrants come here and they don't have a social, so they can't work, so they have to settle for like underpaying jobs or like illegal jobs.
But the thing is, like, we settle for that if we work so hard more than other people who have the right to work for
And those are trafficking jobs.
That goes back to human trafficking. So that makes all these immigrant people that are from 18 to, you know, because, you know, people should legally be able to work at 18, but there's immigrants 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, your age, my age, out here with no social. How many of you guys have a job that makes you show them your social?
I mean, I have.
Yeah, like it's by law. They have to have, you know, that credential to be able to hire you, or they get prosecuted as a business, you know, for helping an immigrant work. So that's all kinds of, you know, messed up. So back to, you know, that's why I go hard, because it's just so fucked up. There shouldn't be people my age or like my sister's age or any of your guys' age, you know, not being able to work and settling for these jobs that could lead to human trafficking. These are the immigrant women they're talking about, because they can't get a normal job because of this fucked up immigration system. We gotta change this whole system. It's not just police. ICE isn't the word police, because they police everything and anything. And then we gotta abolish ICE, because at the first child they lost, they should have been shut down. And it's still 1,500 and growing that they're lost. 3,000 lost? And you know what? 5,000? Okay.
It's probably about 5,000 now, yeah.
No.
Yeah,
3 times they lost the same amount they want to save. So how do you lose 5,000 plus kids?
Yeah.
they
How do
lose
you-
them, and you know it's the children whose parents can't pay for a DNA test.
That part. Or back to the women that bring their kids, and the women get trafficked and their kids get separated and trafficked somewhere else.
It's just they know that we can't fight for that because, well, a lot of
Yeah.
us, you know, we don't have the
Papers.
money for it.
And the
we can't
papers
do that.
or
Yeah,
the-
papers are like, we're undocumented and we don't have the papers, and it's just that because they know that's why they choose to do that. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you can choose to do that, why don't you choose to make a fucking difference and a right for us? Like, we're
Yeah.
fucking
They bank on us. They bank on us staying ignorant. They bank
Yeah,
on us.
they bank on us. This industry is a billion.
I think what all of us want to know is like, what the fuck is the reason? Like Cardi B said, what was the reason? It's like, what is really the reason? We honestly, we have
Capitalism and neoliberalism. It's for ransom.
I know
It's money.
It's all about money. Like
It's money.
It's money and land.
Human trafficking, sex, children trafficking, it's $1 billion industry. And let me tell you, the rich know where the rich is. So that, you know,
I just wanted to keep rich getting richer.
And they
Like,
just
that's
keep getting richer.
Social reproduction.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, California in 2018, there actually isn't any updated info since 2018, and it's probably worse. But in 2018, they reported and they got convicted 550 businesses in California that are human trafficking, humans and children. Businesses. That means multiple people involved. Multiple people involved in this. What do you even call this? It's a ring. It's a prostitution ring. It's for the children. And let me tell you, they don't just lose these kids. They give them to their friends, or they sell them to their friends. I mean, what's going on?
And the government is in it. They only catch the ones that they want. Oh, yeah, Trump's on it.
Yeah, they catch the ones that make the most noise. The ones that make the most, yeah.
Epstein.
Epstein. That's another story. That's
They say Mexico's corrupt.
They said Mexico's corrupt. No way.
Government official punk.
Yeah, and honestly, at the end of the day, these are children. Like, do you know the anxiety and stress mothers go through for their children? So can you imagine being ripped apart at the border from your child, and you don't know where they are? You don't know what they're doing. You don't know if they're okay. You don't know if they ate. You don't know if they showered. You don't know what they're thinking. And these kids feel abandoned because they don't know what's going on. They just know their parents left.
What they think, what a kid thinks.
Yeah, they just...
That's fucking sad.
So what we demand is they abolish ICE, and not just abolish ICE, but we want a program where these kids are going to get therapy, the nutrition they need, the teaching, the playground, you know, everything a child needs to grow. Yeah.
Childhood back.
So when people ask you, okay, what's the point of, you know, freeing the children, or, okay, for example, they were supposed to free the children. We're going to get there. They were supposed to free the children
On the 27th.
on the 17th, and then Trump extended it to the 27th, and then they didn't do it. They broke the law. They didn't follow the law that was put in front of them to freeing these kids. So now it's like, what are we going to do? We're going to have to abolish ICE. We have to abolish ICE. Okay, here we go. Abolish ICE!
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 Yeah, so when people ask you, okay, why do you want to abolish ICE? There you go. They should have been abolished at the first child that they put in the hands of a trafficker. And you know what's crazy? They admitted to accidentally placing these kids that they lost to traffickers.
Yes. Yeah. And it's over 3,000 children.
Yeah.
Over like 5,000 now.
And that was in 2018. And let me find out that this week they had kids in hotels. So what's really happening out here?
I keep burning myself, so I'm gonna put it.
And I mean, did you have something to say? I'm sorry.
Hold on, I'm trying.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna get into it.
So when you guys have a chance, what you guys need to do, gathering and with like-minded people is great and all, but what you guys need to do is take action. Speaking on it is great, but do something. I hate mics. But do something about it. I'm loud already. When you guys go home, or right now search it. So when it's on your phone, and when you get bored or whatever, go home and search Pizzagate and Weinstein. Okay, you guys need to be informed. So these kids, you know where they're going? They were going to that private island that they had. So what was the island called? No, that was yes. So that's where the kids were going. Right now, they obviously found another location since that location.
They're selling kids online.
They're selling it right there, right?
Selling kids online.
Wait
That's
there.
the email.
And they put
since
it in
they
with the
got
last
back there,
name,
they're
like
gonna
as
find
like a
another
tag group,
location because now people like you guys are being aware. But the point is, don't just gather and not do anything. Gather, get informed, and do something. So when petitions start, when it's time to vote, then do your part. Don't just those that can vote, and those that can't vote, spread the word, knowledge. Don't spread stupid, non-fact information. Spread knowledge. Do your research. Education is empowerment. You can do everything, move mountains with education. You don't need to go to university to get educated.
From multiple sources.
Yes, exactly. Multiple sources and see where their information came from. What is their goal in giving you that information? They have to be non-subjective, right?
Follow the money. Straight up.
And the last point that I want to give is that they're using that for money. They're taking kids for sex exploitations, either for government or for celebrities. The celebrities that you guys follow, that you guys are so easy in buying shit from and following and trends and all that, those are the people that are sex trafficking. So next time, Google these things and see what celebrity is included in that. And you know what?
Be careful who you're idolizing.
You'll be shocked.
Don't idolize
You'll be as good as you
at all. Unfollow, like completely ban them from everything. Don't give them your money. Celebrities are worse.
Or change, and change.org. Don't give them your money. Just
They're all
sign them.
puppets to the system. They don't want to take your money.
So other than attending these, which is great, we love that you guys are here. I love her and her activism, and I will support her till I can no longer. But also do take action. Vote, get educated, spread the word. Don't just spread your cute selfies and all this other stuff on your page. Spread factual stuff. Repost her stuff. Yeah, kids are getting trafficked, molested. And sometimes they don't come here with their parents when they get stopped with ICE. Sometimes it's people taking them from Mexico, intentionally getting stopped at ICE detention centers and leaving them so they can then be missed. So sometimes it's not with their parents. So do your homework, get educated, and take action. Don't just come here and gather, which is great, but take action.
To piggyback off of what she said, so I don't know how woke you guys are, but look up. Okay, look up Isaac Cappy. Isaac Cappy was he spoke on Pizzagate. He spoke on a lot of these things, and I don't know how much you guys know, but Tom Hanks is a pedophile.
Yes, look at the list of everyone that went to fucking Epstein's Island.
Look at the list.
It's about to be released. That list.
So is Jay-Z, Beyonce,
Yeah, so right now, since there's a battle between the Republicans and Democrats right now, that's the only reason why they're releasing that list. That list has all the people that flew in privately. There was only one way to get there. Flew in privately to that island to do only one thing. And you guys know that. So I don't know if you guys know, but when we had the Black Lives Movement protest, there was a big election day, and there was also information on the biggest case of sex trafficking that involved government and involved celebrities. Hillary Clinton was due to testify that day, and it was nowhere in the media. Nowhere, no one knew about it.
It never will be in the media.
Exactly.
Never.
So you guys need to do that research, and yes, on that list.
Who
Sorry.
pays the media? Research that shit too.
Exactly.
Just to add a little bit.
Multiple sources.
Yeah. They're not only having sex with children, they're performing rituals on children. It goes more. They're eating babies, they're using the blood. I forgot his name, but he supported Trump, and he spoke on how he tried to make a joke to Wendy Williams on how he uses baby's blood to cure or to make him look younger. It goes deeper than all of this, you guys, and you guys need to stay woke and stay watching videos, and not just videos on Kim Kardashian or Kylie Jenner, because she ain't even paid her workers. Y'all need to go and watch actual videos, and let me see.
It's called walnut sauce. Walnut sauce.
Walnut sauce.
Google walnut sauce.
Google Isaac Cappy, last message to the world before his death. Isaac Cappy died the day after he went on Facebook Live speaking about everything. He exposed everything in the media, and he exposed every single person that he's met, and somehow the next day he supposedly jumped off of a bridge and died of suicide. Supposedly, allegedly, which clearly means he didn't die.
And Tom Hanks posted roadkill right after.
Yeah,
Right after.
they're all bitches.
Get this mic right. Mic check. Can y'all hear me out there?
Yes.
Appreciate you guys listening to me real quick. So obviously a lot of rabbit holes you can follow, a lot of information. One thing we do know is that these kids are getting thrown into sex trafficking rings, that's for damn sure. And main point is ICE has to go, and I'm not fucking around when I say that. ICE has to go. They had to go yesterday. And so you guys are here for a reason. You guys are here for a purpose. I know a lot of you have been out on the streets every day as much as you can. You've been putting in the work and you're still here, still standing for a cause. And so ICE is going to be abolished, and there's no other way around that. And I'm talking about now. And I'm not just saying this. When it's time to show up, I hope to see you guys on the front lines. ICE needs to be occupied. They need to go. Once you lose one kid, you lose 1,500. Who has access to these kids? Who are the sponsors that they're giving these kids to? Who has access to these hotels? Hotel wants to play like they don't know what's going on? Fuck that, they're going to. Anyone who has any accountability in this, any security guard, any cop who knows, anyone who's a pedophile, ICE has to go. It's done. ICE needs to be abolished. And I hope to see you guys there. Stay tuned for the call out because we are putting ICE out. They are terminated. We are paying their goddamn salaries. They were snuck into the Patriot Act with the Homeland Security. They get $8 billion a year, and they are fucking profiting on top of that off of sex trafficking kids. And they gotta go. A new party has to be introduced. A new entity needs to be brought in place to regulate immigration. I'm not saying there can't be any rules or regulation, but ICE is done. They are toast. They are gone. These are our children. They are our fucking children. And I know you feel it in your heart. I know you feel that pain. And so when you're out here, you are making a difference. You are occupying space. You are casting your vote right now. Especially in a time like this when they're suppressing our voices, threatening us, attacking us, and you are still showing up. So know that when you are here occupying space, you are making a difference right now. The world is watching. The world knows about what's going on. This sex trafficking sting, this shit is global. And yeah, some actors are involved, basketball players, I don't give a fuck actually at this point. All I know is ICE has to go. A new party has to be introduced, so we have solutions. A new party has to be created now. City councils, state councils, government, they need to start working on a new party now. We have cast our vote. ICE is to be terminated. Rehabilitation programs need to be put in place for these kids. They've been traumatized, they've been tortured, and they're getting handed off to sponsors who are probably in the inside circle, probably in these things as well. Who are the sponsors? Who are the kids? Where are their parents? Where do they come from? NSA, you guys are going to tell me you don't know how to track who the fuck is taking these kids? You can track weed dealers in the hood, but you can't find a sex trafficker? It's bullshit, and they got us with our backs to the wall. With our backs to the wall, and this is what we have to do now. November 8th, there's a national call out to occupy ICE. I don't give a damn if they're in office. August 8th. I don't give a damn if they're in office. I don't give a damn if they're holding kids. They don't even tell us that information. All they tell us is how many cells are in each one of these. They're talking about freeing the children. What about the teenagers? What about infants? What about adults? They're going to play on that language. They're going to try to play on your mind. They're trying to keep everyone calm right now when you guys are in your righteous place within your First Amendment rights to voice this anger. We are funding this whole goddamn system. So when we look in the mirror at the end of the day, we got to take accountability, and that means we got to show up. I appreciate you guys being out here. I know you're real warriors. And I'll see you guys. ICE is going to be abolished. Put that in your mind. Put that in your mind, and it's starting now, and it's going to continue. I don't want to see them at the end of next month. I want a new party introduced by the government now. Federal, state councils, local levels. I want rehabilitation programs put out. Anyways, thanks for listening to me talk. I appreciate y'all.
I just wanted to mention, the kids aren't free yet because their parents don't want them to be released to sponsors because we already know who the fuck these sponsors are.
Yes, we want to stay together.
So these families are deciding to let their kids risk COVID than give them to sponsors because these sponsors are traffickers. They don't have a real assigned sponsorship. And I don't even want to get to the fact about, you know, the whole foster care is a whole nother shithole. Let me tell you that. That's another story.
You just don't know what you're gonna get yourself into.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're a kid, you don't know.
Yeah, that's why.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Courtney. Grew up in Salinas, California. Currently live in Oregon. You guys know what's going on there. Got some crazy shit going down in Portland, so we've got our own fight going on in Bend, where I live, which is like 3 hours south. It's a fuck ton of racists there, people.
Yeah, that's where my mom is from.
Yeah, so we really, I really
Redmond,
got involved with the BLM
actually.
movement out there. It's been pretty nasty. Portland's getting the worst of it for sure, but it just kind of inspired me to write something, and I'll be recording it on Monday, but I'm going to do a little acapella for you here.
Yeah.
So much hate surrounding me, I feel like I've fallen. They keep coming, but won't let them win. See, we're fighting for our families, fighting for our friends. If you think that smoking gas will stop us, better think again. We live through this suffering and we won't let it last. You will tell us all lives matter and it's in the past, but boys are getting lynched outside and children pepper gas. Military in our city, fuck the upper class. We will fight till we see some change, and we won't go back to your normal again. And there's a strange fruit growing on the trees, my friend, and we will be the ones to make this great again. How long must we be silent, be patient to be heard? They say be good, they won't get violent. She was asleep when she was murdered. How can we put our faith in a system when it's not even safe to be a woman fighting for her own country? And we claim the land of the free. And we can fight till we see some change, and we won't go back to your normal again. And there's a bad moon rising in the streets, my friends, and we will be the ones to make this great again. Thanks, guys, and to piggyback on all those things that people are saying are conspiracy theories, people aren't that fucking creative, okay? This shit is actually happening. They want to pretend like it's not, but guys gotta put your minds where your knowledge is. Yes. Thank you, guys.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Right on, my name is Missy. I'm from North Elko City. Shout out to everyone out here today, standing in solidarity, you feel me? This is so imperative, not only coming together like many people said, but also, you feel me, putting it into action. Knowledge ain't shit unless you put it to action. Don't be libraries, you feel me? You gotta be out there pushing this. Straight up. And straight up, yes. And straight up, human trafficking comes in many different forms. As a person who, I literally went in the system at 11 years old. My mother got her parental rights terminated when I was 13, and I went through so many fucking shit in the system. Literally, I wasn't sexually trafficked, but I was still trafficked because I went to so many group homes where they got paid thousands of dollars to house us. But literally, we were abused by staff. Had staff creeping in my bedroom at nighttime wanting to make out with me because I was cute and I was 16, like if I could make decisions as an adult. Nah, bruh, that's fucking ridiculous. Literally, think about prison right now. All of our people in prison, most of the products that you use, that you love to use, that's made by prison labor. That is human trafficking. Many people don't even get paid fucking $1. They get paid cents to make these fucking products. You feel me? And then you have all these children, like Flor said earlier. You got people who are coming to this country, pushing over the border with coyotes, and literally when they get here, they tell them, nah, that's not enough money. I'm gonna take your passport. I'm gonna take whatever you got, and I'm gonna hold you. And you need to work off your debt before you are free. That's a form of human trafficking. Sweatshops. Most of them are in LA. A lot of them are still here in San Jose. Though that's a form of human trafficking. Also, you know, just society as a whole in criminalizing sex work. Then sex work needs to be decriminalized. We need to stop holding prejudices over people who are sex workers. That is a form of work, and it is fucking justified. But I'll let you know right now, children cannot consent to sex work. No, they are children. And if you see a lot in the media, this whole age fluidity, that is bullshit. That is complete bullshit. That is, yes, yeah, that is pedophilia under a different umbrella. Yes, Shit, it is gaslighting the LGBT community because they trying to get up on our umbrella and we ain't accepting it. Fuck no, we ain't with that creepy ass shit. Because that is straight pedophilia. That is straight coming and predatory on children. Straight up. Love is love. But pedophilia is pedophilia. Straight up. And when you think about it, a lot of human trafficking happens through the system. Through ICE, where they're literally stealing children. They're stealing children and they are literally giving them to white people to adopt. They got families who cannot afford the $80 DNA test. Their children get fucking adopted by white people in America. And a lot of people, let you know right now, I went through the child welfare system, also known as foster care. They don't care about children. They put you in houses where their parents get paid thousands of dollars, but they'll literally traffic the children, they'll abuse the children, and they'll collect the fucking checks from the county.
What about Woody Allen? That's why.
Yeah, that motherfucker too. They don't care. And a lot of people are celebrities. Like, literally, think about it for a second. This justice system does not work for us. It is literally stemming from white supremacist politics. When you think about the whole justice system in itself, think about the fucking police. They were the slave patrol. They were incepted in 1704 as a slave patrol. Their damn badges itself in today's modern day society, the badge was back then said slave patrol. They literally were created. So this justice system was only created, the new Jim Crow. Think about literally, even the Constitution itself. People were still enslaved when there was the Independence Day. The real Independence Day is Juneteenth, but even then, people are still enslaved because it only went to prisons. It only evolved into prisons. Prison labor, human trafficking. I remember when I was locked up, I went first time locked up in juvenile hall when I was 11 years old. I remember meeting other girls who were children, bruh, in there for prostitution, being criminalized because they were being trafficked. They were literally 11, 12, 13, 14, where there was a grown-ass man prostituting them, but they were locked up, but the grown men weren't locked up, but they were being criminalized because they were being prostituted. And it starts young. It starts young with the desensitization, with the language. It starts young when you're a kid. Think about Vanessa Guillen right now. And many people are in military where they're getting sexually assaulted, but they are literally very desensitized from an early age. Because they literally enact all these different laws to keep us disenfranchised, to keep us on the other end of being at the mercy of the system criminalizing us. Think about, okay, I'm gonna back up 4 years ago because that was the last election. Prop 57. I was for Prop 57 because a lot of my homies are locked up for nonviolent crimes. But in those props, they embed a lot of things in between the lines. In that proposition, yes, they were releasing a lot of nonviolent offenders, but in that, they were decriminalizing rape. Rape is no longer a violent felony, and if you are raped while you're asleep, it's not even counted as non-consensual sex. It's not even counted as rape. It is literally justified being raped while you're asleep.
They're trying to make pedophilia
legal.
Yes.
They're literally trying to make
They even have their own
legal.
fucking flag.
I know.
That's what I was talking about with the age fluidity. No, it's complete bullshit. All that is
They're
bullshit.
trying to make it a disability.
Yeah, no, it's not a mental health.
Not
It's not a
only legal,
disability.
you're gonna get benefits because
White people. No, seriously, white people are privileged because who the fuck are these people who are enacting this? Think about Jeffrey Epstein.
And getting good people.
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there to voting rights. I'm gonna get there.
We're voting for these people.
I'm gonna get there because we need to be voting. But literally, it is our responsibility. But think about right now, who is this legislation working for? People who benefit off white supremacist politics. Think about the people who make the most horrendous crimes. The most Jeffrey Epstein, that one
part.
bitch, what's her name, Blystein, whatever she has. Maxwell, that bitch has videos of the prominent members. I'm talking about court justices, that's Supreme Court justices. I'm talking about politicians. Yes, Trump. Well, actually, Trump himself actually was charged rape of a 13-year-old, and he bought out her family.
11.
So that, was it 11? It was probably, yeah, 11. I'm not surprised. And they literally, he just paid them to cover it up. Like it didn't even happen. Yes, he is a fucking pedophile. Many fucking people went to that fucking island with Jeffrey Epstein. To be honest, I don't even think that fool is dead. I think they lied about his death. And that fool's sitting up somewhere. Yeah, because they knew that he would fucking blow the whistle on so many other fucking people. But human trafficking is not only to the sexual exploitation sphere. We have trafficking in our prisons with labor, trafficking in our fucking work, in our farm, in our fields. I come from farm workers. My ancestors came here as farm workers from Mexico, from Zacatecas, to come and fucking work in these fields as migrant workers, being literally, and like think of this, that was literally about maybe 40 years ago my fam came here. Literally, they're still being exploited. Like, homegirl came up here earlier. Think about 2 buckets, those gallon buckets of blueberries, they get paid $7. When you're paying for a little package about 5, 6, 7, 10 bucks. Yeah, when they're literally not getting paid shit.
Don't buy Driscoll's.
Don't buy Driscoll's, fuck no. All Driscoll's, I don't fuck with Driscoll's and I don't fuck with Constellation brands.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, and I don't fuck with Constellation brands. None of your Pacifico, Corona, Tecate, none of that shit. Yeah, none of that shit. Don't fuck with them because those companies literally are stealing the water, especially for people in Mexicali. They're stealing their fucking water, bottling it up in fucking beer, and sending it to Cali. Because we're right here on the fucking border. So keep that in mind. Don't buy those beers no more. Don't even just like, oh, I'm like with my culture, I'm drinking the beer, Mexicanos and shit. No, because they're literally using that and stealing people's water and they're fucking just getting money off it. Yes, tequila. Yeah, all that shit. It's all.
Coming from California, we're so fucking big and we have such
economy.
No, like not even the economy.
No, we
like,
got the biggest economy.
Well, yes, but besides all that, what's the biggest thing? A word, a voice. A voice. We have a voice, and if we all can really come together, because I don't want to like point anybody out or whatever, but a lot of people say like, yeah, like you voted. Like it takes each and every one of our votes. Like if you didn't vote, that just means you voted for the opposite, our enemy. You know, so like we have to do whatever we can. It only takes a few minutes of our fucking day. Like what else do you do? Some of the time we just be fucking watching Netflix and shit. Like,
well, let me break it down. Since we keep talking about voting, I'm gonna bring up voting right now. Because everybody's pushing it. So I'm gonna be straight up. So let me back it up because I want to resonate with all of us who come from the streets. I grew up, I'm the first in my family to get a high school diploma, to get an AA, to get a BA. Thank you. Shout out to my mom and my ancestors who came to this country to give us a better life. But before then, we are not exposed to any of this knowledge. Any of this knowledge in higher learning, any of this knowledge in exactly learning how these systems of oppression work. So a lot of us aren't exposed to this knowledge. We don't know what's up. So the majority of people that we see over time, we see people not being participating in political matters. We see the people like fuck politics because it doesn't work for us. But it only doesn't work for us because we don't use our voice. When you think about it, our ancestors, many of our ancestors died fighting for our right to vote. But we are so discouraged because we think it's not going to work for us, but it doesn't work for us because the majority of us, and I'm talking about millions of people, think that if we don't vote, it doesn't fucking matter. But it does fucking matter. Your voice matters because it's not even just yes. It doesn't, yes, and your voice, what is an ocean but a multitude of drops? You feel me? What is an ocean of people but a multitude of drops of voices? And think about us who are born in this country, who call ourselves citizens of this land that was stolen by fucking white people, who literally wrote on a paper that this was our land and you gotta abide by it. Complete bullshit. But our ancestors, our spiritual ancestors know that that's not the truth and that's not the real. Thank you. No one is illegal on stolen land, straight up. But this is the system that they have concocted, that we have literally, whether we like it or not, we have been subjected to being a participant to it. So I'm going to tell you right now, us who have been born in this land and we call ourselves citizens, we need to use our voices to vote. Not just for ourselves, but for our undocumented folks who don't have that right, who wish they had that fucking right, and they deserve that right because all of us contribute to this fucking economic powerhouse that we call ourselves. And our folks who are incarcerated in prison. Many people don't know, but people who are incarcerated in prison, their bodies count as votes, but their voices do not. So think about the majority of people who are incarcerated. All those people, they count as votes for the majority of the party that is part of that state. And that most likely is Republican. So they're literally banking on people who are incarcerated using their votes. So in California, there's Prop 17. Please vote on it in October, actually, because it's mail voting. So make sure 2 weeks, but yeah, you need to vote early. 2 weeks before, yeah, 21 days before the November 8th. So in October, you need to be pushing your mail-in ballots, and you need to vote for that so felons can get reinstated of their voting rights. So that no longer that their votes go to the Republican Party. But even then, let's break down the motherfucking electoral system. That shit needs to go. Yes, we don't break it down. We educate it. Yes, the electoral system, literally the electoral vote was put in place for shit to happen, not like Trump. The electoral system was put in place so Trump wouldn't happen. But the wrong people were put in place with that power. Because look at who the fuck is sitting as our president. He's not my president. Fuck no, he's a white man. Hell no, right? Not my president. Fuck him. The electoral system needs to go. The two-party system needs to go. Because it literally restricts all of our voices to voting for the less of the evil, the eviler. You know, all of us are literally going to vote for Biden because what the fuck else are we going to do? That's all we can do at the moment. And Biden will literally, he's the type, he will fold under pressure. That fool's like, I think he's like, has Alzheimer's now. That fool's literally, but remember, but I want to, as I'm speaking this, I want to remind you, we cannot dismantle the system with their own tools. We can only beat them at their own game for so long. I'm an abolitionist. I believe the whole system needs to go. And I will, you know, I hinted it earlier, you know, I went in the system when I was 11 years old. I didn't get out of the system completely till I was 25. I'm about to be 30 in 2 weeks. I literally was in the system for more than half my life. As a juvenile, as an adult, I was literally sent to group homes, to juvenile correctional facilities, where they were getting paid to house me, yet I was getting drugged with so many psychotropic medications. So think about how much money was going to Big Pharma. This is all part of human trafficking. All part of, if you don't know what biopolitics are, I encourage you to read Michel Foucault, Biopolitics. Please read his books and he'll break it down on what biopolitics is and what necropolitics is. And necropolitics is basically who determines who dies and who lives. And you know who dies and who lives, and it's black and brown communities who dies. They literally traffic our bodies. It's not even our voices. It's not even swaying our voices or our votes. They literally concoct these systems to keep our bodies suppressed in prison, in group homes, in juvenile hall, in ICE detention centers, in sexual trafficking. If sex work was decriminalized, a lot of other places they think like, oh, all sex work is so bad. Sex work is literally the oldest profession of this world. When you think about labor, I'm gonna get real Marxist right now, and I embrace all of it because it's real. Power to the people. I am a socialist. Yeah. Because power to the fucking people. There's more of us than them. And I'm gonna tell you like this. All we have to do, protesting, labor, everything is with our bodies. Everything that we manifest is through our bodies, through our language, through our physical, mental, spiritual. It's all through our bodies. But see, the government has found a way to politicize that. And that's through government. That's through all these different institutions, all these different ways that they keep us bound. And that's like, you have to be a citizen to get different, you know, help with shit. That's all different ways. Only our bodies are counted. Our voices are not counted. Straight up, and that's biopolitics. So please, what we were saying earlier, you need to do your homework. You know, a lot of times that I say with people who are literally, I went to UCSC, I just graduated. And a lot of, you feel me? I'm the first in my family. Thank you. Thank you. So is my mama. And straight up, a lot of those white kids with privilege, I tell them, you better do the readings Because a lot of people, they don't do the readings, but they need to do the readings because these are voices of revolutionaries over time that have lived through the revolution, because the revolution is never ending. It's always ongoing. It only evolves as the times evolve. So there's no like, we do this action, we get these laws passed, and the revolution's over. It will never be over. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Because let's back it up. Let's break it down one more time. When you think about the Constitution, when you think about the amendments, when the amendments in the Constitution were being drafted up, people were still enslaved. People were still in bondage. Our black, our brown, our indigenous families were still being exploited for their body, their labor, their voices. So literally the amendments themselves were manifested and concocted to keep us disenfranchised. So the system will never work for us. No matter how many times they think that reform will be, let's just give you these bones. Let's throw you these scraps so you can be silent and we can just silence you for the next revolution. Keep in mind that these reforms will not work. We've been constantly in the cycle of reform for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. They will not work. We need a total abolition at the systemic root of these systems. Because these systems have literally, not only have they been incepted to keep us disenfranchised, white supremacist politics will keep evolving as the times evolve to keep us oppressed. And I'm talking about those silent laws that are passed behind closed doors that no one votes on, that literally, when you think about the House and the Senate, and you think about who controls the House and the Senate, right now it's split because the Democrats and the Republicans run each of both. But it goes to the Senate and most of the motherfuckers, the Republicans and the motherfuckers who run that shit, so they say what goes and comes. Think about DC. DC is literally the only colony that survives out of the 13 colonies of the inception of the United States. The DC does not have any political representation. They don't want to make it a statehood. Because Congress literally says what happens in DC. And DC, mind you, DC is majority black. DC was named Chocolate City because DC is the majority black people. So DC can literally be the ground zero of showing you what the fuck is happening in all of our cities across the US. And I would love to remind you that the United States is a fucking man-made, socially constructed concept. This is indigenous land. We are on stolen land. This land is stolen. You cannot monetize land. They can continue to exploit us, but we know the roots of this land. We know the roots of everyone who's oppressed. All the people who is oppressed. So let's keep in mind, these systems will never work for us. So when they want to give you scraps of reform, tell them no. Tell them we want abolition. We want the total abolition of all these systems of oppression. And there are many different examples of organizing, community organizing, grassroots organizing for the community, by the community. Let me just break it down. Black Panther Party, Brown Berets, and modernize the Hood Squad. Y'all know the Hood Squad? Straight up, shout out Hood Squad, shout out Justice Vanguard, BGC, you feel me, Black Outreach, Simply of Service. Literally, those are the modern day community organizing, grassroots organizing for the community, by the community. So it's not like it can't be made, it's happening. The work of abolition, of community organizing, grassroots organizing, it has been here for centuries.
Yes.
It has been. It's not like you just got to do the work out of your ass. The work has already been done. We just need to contribute to it. These seeds of the revolution have already been planted. We need to continue watering these seeds of the revolution. Shout out, Show! That's the real big shit! Hey! Shout! And we going to accept every single solidarity in its form. You know why people think that that's not solidarity? That's solidarity. Because I'll tell you like this, I came from the hood. I came from banging in the streets.
You spent a lot of money doing that.
I went down for attempted murder. I was only exposed to whatever I was in that microcosm. And that is their way of expressing their solidarity, and that's how they know how to express it. Until you get that knowledge, You know, there are many different forms. So don't dismiss people who want to come up in the group, who don't know what's up. Educate them.
Speak, baby.
Show them solidarity. And know that ain't nobody above nobody. All this knowledge was human constructed. It's all bullshit anyways. Because everything we do know was established by a white man. Majority of white men, other than our ancestral practices. Yeah, it was literally, everything that we do know was all constructed by humans. So all of this that has been constructed now can be abolished. We can abolish these systems. But it comes together with building people power, with politically participating, with organizing in the streets. But no, the revolution encompasses many different spheres. It's not just organizing the streets, it's not just using your voice to vote, it's everything simultaneously. We need to attack every fucking avenue that they occupy, and we let our voices be heard. And we need to consistently do that. And I'm gonna let you know right now, they're not gonna give it to us. So no matter how many times you go up in meetings and your voice isn't getting heard, just know that that's the norm. That is the norm, but don't let that discourage you. We need to show up for these city council meetings. We need to show up for these county council meetings. We need to show up for, you know, shit like I go to UC, these regent meetings. We need to be in these regent meetings, and we need to let our voices be heard. And many times the colonized mind will be like, oh, hush, hush. Only, you know, when it's your time to speak, speak. No, if shit is being, you don't like it, speak on it when it is. They may say you're out of pocket. I don't give a fuck. We are gonna be out of pocket. It may seem radical. Shit, yeah, we gonna talk our shit. We gonna talk our shit. Because us who call this land our home, our ancestors are indigenous to this continent. My ancestors are indigenous to this continent. Everyone who is brown, black and brown, even our black folks whose ancestors didn't ask to be put in this continent, but we have, I will mind you though, we have black indigenous people. So people do not erase our black folks who are indigenous to this continent. People, you know, yes, Latinx, Mexicans for Black Lives, but remember, our black people are also Mexican. Our black people are Puerto Rican, or Dominican, our black people, yes, Afro-Latinos off top. Let's not, no, yes, do not erase our black folks. And you know, all of our liberations are tied to each other. But our liberation is tied and rooted in the black liberation struggle. And that is why I shared before that the Constitution, that the amendments were literally incepted with keeping black folks disenfranchised. Yeah, suppressed, disenfranchised, oppressed, because black folks were still enslaved while the Constitution was being drafted. So remember, all this radical oppression, like pushing back against oppression, it's rooted in the black liberation struggle, because black people were the first to do it. Because black people were the first to be enslaved with indigenous people, with the genocide of indigenous people, enslaving indigenous people into boarding schools. Our black folks literally being stolen off the fucking shores of West Africa, brought here. Their ancestors wouldn't ask to be here. And our black ancestors who were literally, this is their home. So know that our ancestral roots do not limit to only brown skin, only Latinos, Mexicanos, or Central Americans. Black people are have just as much indigenous ancestry as we do. So I'm of lighter complexion. I am multiracial. I am half white, but my white side disowned me, you know, before I was born. And you know, I now embrace that, because there's many people who are half white and they are disowned by their white side. Not only are our ancestors colonized, our very beings are colonized. You feel me? And I embrace that now. I used to be like, fuck that shit, but now I embrace it because I want all of us to have a voice. It's not just about one person, one struggle. Our struggles are intertwined with each other's. I am a proud non-binary trans person. In the middle, thank you, in the middle of my fucking transition. And I embrace that. And when we think about the Black Lives Matter movement, the Black Lives Matter movement was the inception of Black Lives Matter movement. It was made by 3 feminist women, 2 openly queer. And they really wanted to highlight the erasure of trans, queer, black activists. Really, think about the Emmys that just happened. I don't know about you, but I love Pose. Have y'all seen Pose on Netflix? I love Pose. But the only person who was nominated was Benjamin Porter, and like shout out to Benjamin Porter, but it was because Benjamin Porter was born male at birth. And even just the little things like that and the little things in our organizing spaces, we see our trans queer folks being erased. We see our trans black women being murdered. Literally this week, 3, I'm sure there's more, 3 in our media, but there's been many more trans black women who are literally being murdered at more disproportionately rates than any other race, any other person from any other group.
Transphobia kills.
Yes.
That's how you speak about it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Let me. Yes. Thank you. Language. Think about our language. We really need to change our language and decolonize our language. When you think about Spanish, English, all that's a colonized language. They literally colonize our, you feel me, indigenous dialects like Quiche. Like, you know, literally they have literally eradicated our language, and they literally be like, that's a inmate, that's a homeless person, that's a, no, we are all people having different experiences. So you can be a person experiencing homelessness, you can be a person experiencing incarceration, but we really need to eradicate it at the root of language, and we need to shift the narrative with language, because language is that's how we communicate, that's how we identify, so we also need to decolonize our language. There are so many avenues to this, but be mindful and know that we don't...
Behavior is mathematics.
And behavior, yes, behavior, because you can talk about you want to make change, but if your behavior does not reflect what you talking about, you better walk it like you talking, or you better shut the fuck up, straight up. Yes, and the people around, you better check them. I be checking white people I know. I'd be like, bro, and they'd be like, yeah, your friends, your family. You better have those difficult conversations. I would rather have those difficult conversations and not have them in my life than be trying to keep the peace and contributing to the oppression.
You're not growing.
Straight up. Because us who are oppressed, we don't have the comfortability of being only tolerated, of being in spaces. We don't even have the privilege of growing old. I'm gonna tell you like this, my homie literally committed suicide 3 days ago. He was deported as we were kids, to Mexico, to Zacatecas. That's where our family, our ancestry is from. And like, it breaks my heart. It's my homie from my hood we grew up gangbanging together. We grew up locked up together. But it's hard, bruh. It's hard because they deport our family into places that they don't even know. They have no fucking idea how to survive. They imprison us. They traffic us. They literally use our bodies, our tax dollars. They don't care about our voices. But that is why it's so imperative to educate ourselves on these systems of oppression, to educate ourselves on white supremacist politics. And literally every single system that you can think of is rooted in white supremacist politics. Everything like DHS, ICE, police, that is literally, they are the terrorists of the United States. I'm not going to say America because this continent is the Americas. They are the United States and they are the fucking terrorists. To be honest, I am not a proud American. No, I don't take pride in being born here because my being born is literally colonized from the start. But I want to erase that in people who are proud to be American, like Vanessa Guillen, like Kaylee Johnson, who literally put their bodies on the line and enlisted in these military branches, who literally predatory recruit our communities, our black and brown communities, indigenous communities, who are proud to be American.
There are a lot of Americans helping and supporting the causes like the Hero Tent.
Yes, and Americans like Hero Tent, like yes, proud. I'm not erasing them. No, yes, I am so blessed that there are people who are born here that know that we have been oppressed, that are fighting with us. that amplify our voices.
Like the
And-
moms that stood
And the wall of moms, yeah.
Portland, Oregon.
And I'll say though, in Oakland, you know, we was out there, but a lot of white people, they were fucking shit up while we literally Hood Squad, JT, Mod, right? No, Mod, yeah, literally, we were the front line to the front line. Like, we were in front of the shields. And white people were literally fucking up black businesses. Literally, JT and the other homies were literally holding it down, being like, look, if you're not black, you shouldn't be out here fucking shit up. You are allies. But that is exactly a physical representation of the way that this country works. Because they'll say they're for the movement, that they're for black and brown lives, indigenous lives, trans lives, but they will co-opt our movement.
That part.
Yes, that part. They will co-opt our shit. Yeah, talking about they with it, but they're not with it. So call it out when you see it. And even if you're on an island on your own calling it out, you better call it out. I don't give a shit who don't like me. Yup, what do you say? Say it with your chest. Say it with your motherfucking chest. I love it. I'd rather be rocking by myself, fighting for justice, than fucking wanting to keep the peace with these people who continue to keep us oppressed. Because when they co-opt our movements, they are keeping us oppressed. They are erasing our voices. And that's why it was so imperative when we were in Oakland to remind them that this is a Black Lives Matter movement. That this was manifested from the response of white supremacist politics. And that brings us back to language. What's happening in the streets isn't riots. It isn't chaos. It is a rebellion. It is a uprising from hundreds of years of systemic racism, of systemic oppression. This is nothing new. The only difference in why it's so big now is because we're in a pandemic. Because I guarantee you, if we weren't in a pandemic, people wouldn't be rocking out with us. They would be out there on Tinder, on Instagram, famous, on whatever else they like to. You know, and I'm not knocking that. Do your thing. Those are, you know, awesome platforms that you can get your message out. But it's how you use them.
They're also biased platforms.
They are biased because they're algorithms. And I'll tell you right now, the tech industry is racist.
Yep.
Because most of those algorithms are very racist. The alt-rights and their Nazi algorithm, all that. Most of these people who are fucking coding these algorithms are white people working for white companies who are literally, so us people of color, we aren't afforded the privilege of being in these institutions of higher learning.
Sister, can I chime in?
Oh yeah, go ahead, bro, go ahead.
This is for La Raza.
Shout out Kid Frost. Hey! La Raza. Hey, right? Hey. Shout out homie. You know, his voice, and I love that right now because that was a physical representation of all our voices mattering. That it's not about one person. It's not about one group of people being oppressed because all of our struggle is intertwined with each other. All our voices matter. And no one knows everything. Straight up, because straight up, all this knowledge that how I see institution of higher learning, college and shit, you need to, like, go into those institutions who have the privilege. We go to those institutions to understand the processes and the systems of oppression, to learn the history of them. Not to learn what they say is English or these different fucking subjects, because they all created that shit. All that shit is fucking human created, is a social construct. So know that not everyone knows everything. We are all teachers and we are all learners. So don't act like you're better than anyone else, because even though I'm a college graduate, I am no better than you. You feel me? I am you and you are me and we are each other. Straight up. So people who have money or degrees, don't let that deter you or fucking, keep you oppressed, discouraged. Thank you. Discourage you. Don't let that discourage you, because we are all the same. And though we all play our part in this community building in abolishing the system, we all have our part to play. So know that we can't take on every role. We all have our part to play, and we need to be coming together. So I'm gonna wrap it up because I feel like I've been talking for a long time. Yes. So I want to bring it back. to where we are today. Thank you. Human trafficking. It comes in many different forms. Prison, ICE detention centers. But right now in these movements, we need to amplify our most oppressed voices. You know, they're literally keeping migrants in hotels. People in hotels, they're literally putting messages on the window that they have no phone, help us. Yeah, they're literally being held against their will in fucking hotels with their children. And think about right now, even though the Supreme Court said that they need to release them, they still haven't released them. And they're literally fighting between staying together while in confinement or being separated but being released from confinement. But that means you're giving your child to mostly white people who are adopting your child. Like if they don't have families, they're literally selling children. What they've been doing. They've been trafficking children. You see Wayfair, you see foster care, you see juvenile justice, you see ICE, prison, our farm workers, or even our workers in the UC system. I go to UC. They literally laid off 30,000 workers who are literally in the dining hall, janitors. So yeah, it's all human trafficking because they want to exploit us for our labor, our bodies. Because before the Federal Reserve was an actual thing, before money was a thing, literally our bodies, our labor, that is what we've been. I'm gonna end it right now.
We usually be walkie-talking, but let's move over there to that wall because that projection, they put it here, they put it on that wall,
Okay.
and I would love for us to go under it.
Okay, much love.
And do a moment of silence.
Yes.
So you can keep talking, but let's start moving.
I'm gonna just end it here and we can move. Much love, and remember, we are teachers, we are learners, and we are here for each other. We need to embrace everyone. Free them all and our people in prisons, our kids, our adults in ICE centers, and come out on August 8th and rock with us to Morgan Hill ICE Detention Center. Banner drop, much love, solidarity, blessings, y'all.
Okay, so we're all gonna move to our left over there where the projection's showing. If you guys can help me with the candles, if you guys don't have any candles.
And get your trash.
And then, yeah, pick up after yourselves. Thank you. People like
Go to David. Good job.
These wavy steps, y'all. They're beautiful. They're not the easiest thing. How you doing, baby? Right? So we're moving over here. Oh, yeah. Nope. I gotta find the bathroom, yeah? At some point.
Much love, thanks for being here.
Ooh, much love, thank you. Hey, what college? I'm college 10.
Oh, Porter.
Right?
I'm a transfer student, so Porter.
Me too. Hey,
Oh, okay.
from MPC.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
That's what's up, transfer student.
Did you graduate from UCSC?
I
What year?
did at UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah, UCSC. What year?
2016.
Oh, okay. I just got there. I'm still going to school because I don't know if you knew they fired all the grad students, so I didn't get in all my classes, so I had to stay till fall.
Yeah.
But still rocking.
I heard. Yeah, we gotta hook up.
Hey, yeah,
Gotta
definitely.
chat.
You got Instagram? What's your Instagram?
Okay, so I don't know how to Instagram. I have one.
Okay, what's your number?
Adios, dude. I believe. What's my number? Oh, I'm on live still, so I'm not.
Oh.
So I'm not gonna. But
Their number? What's your pronoun?
I'm she, her, dude. Pretty much.
Hey, you know, to be
Yeah.
honest, I mean, I'm about 30 years old. Growing up, we didn't have those labels.
Yeah.
No idea. They were like stud. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm missing.
Yeah, but I'm
What's your
not.
number? What's your number?
Right, like.
I'm
Like
not
I'm
binary,
female,
so I
so I'm female presenting.
Okay, yeah.
But and I'm a mom.
Oh, I
But
love it.
yeah, and like
831, where you live at?
Marina.
Oh,
You get
where
one.
is that?
It's just south. I'm gonna call me,
And
and
what's
then
your
I'm
name?
gonna ignore me. so that it doesn't mess up my
No
life.
problem.
Okay.
And what's your name?
Audra?
Audra, okay.
Walton.
Missy.
Missy, nice to meet you.
Alright, cool. I'm gonna save you right now.
I'm on Facebook.
Okay, I'll
So,
add you.
and this is, yeah. So, and I've got you on, right? So you can come.
Yeah.
I did it a couple times, and I have a bunch of pictures for you.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Right,
Thank
right
you.
from East Palo Alto. I mean,
Oh, you were in those ones too.
no, well, I took some.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so I have a bunch for you. And I'm so bad with names, so
Don't trip Missy. I'll text you and I'll let you know it's me.
great.
I'm like Missy, person in San Jose that you were talking about. Yeah.
Thanks for speaking.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank
Too,
you.
Black Queen.
Mhm.
Right on. Much love. Much
Much,
love.
much love. Okay, okay, so over here. Hey, baby. Let's see if I can get. Oh, okay. That's what's up when you meet Slug. Here we go. Try not to get hit. We're gonna go take a knee too. Moment of silence, y'all.
Alright, so we're gonna start our moment of peace. Everyone, bow your heads. We're doing this like second moment.
There is no distance. Do not be covered over and over.
Sorry.
We don't know where they are. We don't know who they're with, you know. But we're out here representing for them, and that's some real shit. We're out here being their voice, because they can't, you know, they can't go on social media and tell people help. But we can go on social media and tell people help for them. We can talk about it, you know, take 2 seconds to post about it. Every other day, on the weekend, whatever. But keep it alive, because this is really happening under our noses. And Google how to know when human trafficking is happening. Especially because how are the most cases in California, you guys? You have to be careful. Those are scary numbers. And those are from 2018. I want all of y'all to stay safe and, you know, protect the people around you. Because this shit is happening. And they consider it just, they went missing. No one talks about human trafficking. It's just that person went missing.
They didn't go missing. They
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, my name is Hoku, and I'm a national organizer of DAM. Before I say the full name of our group, I just want everybody here to know that the people that are here today, right now, that have been actively participating in the marches since those 4 officers killed George Floyd, you know, our new civil rights movement that has been marching in the streets has more power than we understand. The federal court judge, Dolly G's ruling that to release the children from the ICE detention centers, that she, right before the deadline, all of a sudden said she had no power to enforce, is just the latest example of why we must not rely on the courts or the politicians, of why we must not rely on the courts or the politicians in our fight for justice. We all know that there's rampant sexual abuse in detention centers. We all know that ICE's irresponsible power means that countless numbers of young people are disappeared by ICE. And Trump, in his desperation, because his poll numbers are dropping, because of his inaction and obstruction of anything to be done about COVID-19, has meant massive death in our country.
And in prisons.
Yep, yes. Yep. And in his desperation, he's reached out like he always has to attack immigrants. So then he says that he's gonna only make DACA recipients status last 1 year, and he's not gonna accept any new recipients. And now he's reached to the most violent and racist parts of ICE and the Border Patrol to invade the city of Portland and Seattle to attempt to occupy it, to crush our movement in those cities. But thanks to the bravery of the people of Portland and our new civil rights movement, those agents have been ejected from the city of Portland. But we have to know we can't take the politicians' words about all the feds leaving Portland and Seattle, because you know Trump has said that he's sending federal agents into cities like Chicago and Detroit and Albuquerque, New Mexico. And any of the city mayors, like the ones in Chicago and Detroit that are welcoming those federal agents, they should just step down now. We can't rely on the politicians because they're the ones trying to send people back to school when we all know it's going to be children and teachers who are going to be dying. And not just children and teachers, but people in our communities. And that Black and Latino people get infected and die at 2 to 3 times a rate higher than white people. And then like somebody said earlier, the detention centers are becoming death camps. Every day that Trump is in office, it means the possibility of someone else dying. And we have to get him out now. That means consciously advancing our demand. Trump must resign or be removed now. We'll be holding a march and rally in Oakland on Saturday at 7 p.m. at Oscar Grant Plaza, that's 14th and Broadway, to demand that all federal agents be out of American cities now, and that the detention centers get shut down, and that DACA and asylum seekers are defended, and the new civil rights movement is defended from Trump tyranny. sorry, I forgot. What Trump is trying to do, what he's doing with these federal agents, is he's trying to test out what is possible for him to get away with. He's trying to test out to see if it's possible in November, if he loses the election, can he stage a coup with his most loyal federal agents? And we have to send them the message between now and then that that is not on. That any federal agents that get sent in our city, they're getting put out, and troops is going to get put out before the election. So yeah, so that my name is Hoku, and I'm a part of DAM, and it's the Coalition to Defend Affirmative Action, Integration and Immigrant Rights, and Fight for Equality by any means necessary. If you didn't get this flyer about Saturday, you can get one before you leave. And but yeah, look us up on our website at DAM.com. Thank you.
How you guys doing tonight? How you guys doing? I'm JT, I'm from the Hood Squad. Man, we've been doing this for a while, haven't we? Guess what? It's going to take a lot longer than this. The civil rights movement lasted for years. Went through many different phases, had many different looks to it, many different leaders, many different organizations, and it took a while, okay? This is just the beginning. We're just at the beginning of what we're doing. Even though some of us, like myself, have been doing it for years, some of you guys have been doing it for years. You know, we've been out here for years. One thing I was thinking when I was listening to some of these stories, you know, it reminded me of when I was a kid and my uncle gave me a book about black cowboys. And I said, man, I was born in the wrong time. I wanted to be one of those black cowboys. I wanted to be one of those guys that was riding around in the Wild West and doing some of these things that I heard, some of these heroics. When I was a little bit older, I read a book called Black Indians. And the cover caught my eye because it reminded me of this book that my uncle had given me about black cowboys. And Black Indians, when I read this book, it was about the relationship between African Americans and the indigenous people in America, and about how this particular tribe, the Seminole Indians in Florida, were unified with maroon Africans that weren't enslaved, and they would go and they would raid plantations. They would raid the plantations, free the enslaved Africans, and join the tribe. And they were the only resistance that was standing up to the forces of the United States at that time. And they literally were the only thing stopping Andrew Jackson, and he was a general at that time, from invading Florida for quite some time. Back then, Florida was a Spanish territory. And I thought, man, wouldn't it have been cool to be there during those times to do some of these things? Let me tell you something. If you felt like that, you're not born in the wrong time. Okay, you're not born in the wrong time. This shit is going on right now. It's happening right now. It looks different, but it's going on right now. And that's why we out here. Okay, we out here to stop this trafficking shit. Just this morning, my homeboy for about 20 years, 20 plus years, Hispanic brother, his daughter, I found out, had been a victim of being trafficked. She was drugged by her assailant, an older girl, or a woman, and his daughter, a juvenile, and while she was driving her assailant's car, she was attacked sexually, and she wrecked the car the woman didn't have her seatbelt on, was ejected and died. And now they're trying to charge her with vehicular manslaughter. That's what we were at court for this morning. Some of y'all were with me. Some of y'all were with me this morning fighting for that. And then came here again this evening. And I'm just feeling the presence of our ancestors. And when I look at everybody tonight, I see your ancestors standing with you. I see your ancestors, I see our ancestors together, standing here together. And I want you to feel that energy, tap into that energy, tap into your inner warrior energy. And remember, there's a long fight coming. There's a long fight coming. We gotta stand together. We gotta stand together, we gotta stand up for the right thing. We gotta listen to each other, and we can't be divided. We can't be divided at all. So I want you guys to think about what it means to be unified, to what it means to stand next to somebody that may not have the same exact color as you, may not look exactly the same as you, but is in this fight with you and is standing together with you. We are all fighting the same system. We are all fighting the same system. And it's going to take all of us, to fight that fight and beat that fight and beat that devil down. And I'm going to tell you something. That devil's fucking organized. They are fucking organized. And if you are not organized, if we do not organize ourselves as organizers and as individuals, then it's going to be an uphill battle. We have to out-organize the government. We have to out-organize ICE. We have to out-organize the prison industrial complex. That's what we have to do. We have to stand up, we have to show up, and we have to pay attention when we see traps to notify each other of traps. We were out in Oakland last weekend, and there was a huge trap. There was a huge trap. There was some individuals that were leading the march and giving us, the Hood Squad, directions on where they wanted the march to go. What they were doing is they were using the crowd. They were using the crowd as cover to tear apart the buildings. And let me tell you something. In that moment, you have to understand, there were not any more federal agents there than there always are out here. And so it really looks like a setup. People trying to create some performative bullshit in order to justify Trump sending troops out here. So pay attention to these traps. If you're not paying attention to these traps, you're gonna fall and snare your toe. You're gonna fall into it. Just pay attention to what's going on. I want you guys to just take this momentum moving forward. Educate yourselves. One thing that we're doing right now as a squad is we're having workshops. So we have a workshop coming up. It's on the 8th. It's at our festival. 2 workshops. Marcus Garvey workshop. Emiliano Zapata workshop. If you didn't know, that's his birthday. Okay? So, I'm really thankful that we're all out here, and I want to leave here in peace and love, harmony, justice, and unity. And just focus on what's coming next, y'all. Focus on what's coming up next. Focus on being in unity with each other. Because if we are not in unity with each other, it's all going to fall apart.
That ball.
Well, guys, we went in over an hour overtime, so shout out to y'all. But that concludes our rally today. Thank you guys for coming out and being the voices. Thank you guys. And yeah, don't forget to everybody in this house, your friends, your family. It's all about getting the word out. And we have social media. You know, our ancestors did not have social media, so we have a lot of power in our hands. We have a lot of power. Oh, by the way, I just want to mention this because I was actually in training on organizing 5 years ago with the same people from Ferguson. Do you guys remember that? Michael Brown? Well, today I followed my girl on Twitter, and she was really upset that they're not convicting. They made the call today that they're not convicting the cop that killed Michael Brown.
What?
And that Ferguson incident is the first time there was a social media uproar. I don't know if you guys remember that. Yeah. Like Twitter, that was the first time that we were like, oh my gosh, like what the fuck? Police are being fucked up. Oh, that part. And so we can't forget, you know, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives are needed, and Black Lives are worthy. And you know, if we have to keep fighting, and we have to fight for Michael Brown now, we're going to fight for Michael Brown. Because we see my friend like that. Because I remember she was there when I was there at this training we went to, and we were just so passionate about everything we were talking about. And for me to see this happen, like, you know, she's from Ferguson, so she was like the activist doing the same thing, you know, our leaders are doing in our city. She was the activist for Ferguson, you know, he's getting organized, you know, getting everybody into getting the, it was her boyfriend actually that recorded the video and put it on social media. So, you know, it was kind of hard to see that happen today. So, justice for Michael Brown, that's going to be you on the, you know, that hashtag is back in action, but we're going to do what we have to do. Because we're going to defund the police and we're going to abolish ICE and we're going to change the whole fucking system to make it harmless. White man system is done. It's ours now. Tired of the people. And knowledge is power. That's how you gotta educate your family and friends, because knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So one more time, thank you guys. Round of applause for you guys. Love you guys. Thank you. Oh, August 8th, abolish ICE, Morgan Hill. That was gonna be intense. This was very nice, but that one is gonna interesting. Let's go.
Yeah.
August 8th, Morgan Hill, ICE office.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. That one will be shouting. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. Thank you.
Be there.
Buddy system when you head out.
Okay, y'all. I'm gonna say good night. Drop you guys
Travel
off.
safely, guys.
Drop you guys off here. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you on the other side.